I think it's that close combat kind of fishing that I really latched onto, and gosh, the rest is history.
So we both hunt as well, and I imagine this is what like bow hunters feel, because it brings you a little bit closer, you know, a little bit closer to the action, a little bit more ancestral, a little bit, you know.
Man, it seems like everything changed every day that we fished. Late start, we sort of had to come from behind. And really it was just about seizing opportunity when it presented itself.
The entire state, for the first time in weather history, under that winter storm warning. We also had portions in West Texas that were under a blizzard warning.
I've lived in Texas for, 30 years, and I've never seen this much snow. Our power went out last night 3 or 4 times.
Whoa, way too fast. In order to tell this story, we've got to rewind it all, because it's just that important. Put yourselves in my shoes. I have predicted winter, and I told you guys that I am about to get on the craziest trout bite you've ever seen me get on. And you guys who've been following me know that I've been targeting trophies for about 5+ years now. So when I say things, they're supposed to come true. Supposed to.
And on the roadways, it's especially treacherous as well. We know that not just here in Texas, but in neighboring Oklahoma and in other southern states as far as Mississippi, there have been numerous accidents and injuries reported as a result of slick and icy roadways. That ice accumulation going to be a problem over the next 24 hours as well, as this massive system leaves Texas and slowly makes its way to the northeast. But in the meantime, a very dangerous 24 hours ahead here in Texas.
So here we go. On this episode of Next Level Fishing, a team of kayak anglers just come off of a historic win. They become the first and only kayak team to defeat boaters in a trout tournament against this caliber of competition. As time goes by and the trout bite continues to improve, Mother Nature decides to hit the reset button in an unprecedented winter storm, killing off many of these trout. This is the bitter end story and footage before all the chaos. I think you need a lot of knowledge, finesse, and more so than anything else, I think you need a lot of patience. It's a 3-layer step, right? And if you lack one of those 3 skill sets, you're just never going to be a good trout angler. And you know, how weird is that to say, right? Like, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the patience, it's just not going to be there. You're going to really struggle with this. Digital sight casting gives a whole new meaning to blind casting. If you're good with electronics, like, you really shouldn't be blind casting at all, even if you're in just a foot or 2 of water. You know, that's one of my strategies. It's really made me consistent. I want to be able to absorb as much information as I possibly can. I want to know how fast my lure is dropping, how deep it is before it hits it, and about how many seconds it takes for that lure to actually hit bottom. And the winter really tests that. You know, my action, even in just 3 foot of water, is pretty patient. You know, a lot of anglers I see even in the winter fishing pretty aggressively, and there's really nothing wrong with that. You can still trigger a trout in the winter to bite even when it's cold, but I find it that I get a little bit more success when I'm very patient and I'm letting that trout kind of hit on a drop. This is what I call sort of a bump and hook set. It sort of goes to show you guys that, you know, when you get it to that specific depth, just the littlest reaction will result in a hookup, and you just have to be ready for it. some anglers love to compare the difference between an 8-pound trout and an 8-pound red. You know, what would you rather fight? And I think this is one of those perfect fight examples of just how fun an 8+ pound trout can be. For me, it's a tough decision. You know, I don't really know what I would pick. They both pull drag. They both fight just as equally, but I feel like the trout is just a little bit more aggressive and will kind of fight to the death. When you take all things relative, they are pretty equal. You know, a trout, especially one this size, you just can't hammer down on your drag and horse it in like a redfish. Their paper-like mouth, you know, it really does demand a different style of fishing and the way that you finesse it. When you're handling trout this close to the kayak, you know, it can get a little nerve-wracking. There's so many different things that can happen. Two of them that really bother me is it making a beeline to the opposite direction and me pulling the hook oppositely, which can sort of basically loosen a hook in the mouth. The other thing is when you're actually landing it. Many times these fish, if you don't actually get a smooth transition, that hook that's in its mouth can actually hook itself on your net, stopping the fish and completely ruining your chances of actually landing this big trout. So I always think it's important to sort of build up that fish momentum and scoop that fish up deep so that no hooks touch the net unless they're already all the way into the net. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video of my last big trout before this winter storm. I know it's probably not what you guys expected, but you know, just obvious uncontrollable circumstances. Comment below, let me know what you guys think. If you have any questions about catching big trout, or if you guys are using different techniques, I'd love to hear about them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video to all your friends, and we appreciate all your support. Later.
And today it's been out for an hour even before we left, and that's why we came out. There was nothing else to do, so can't work from home.
And on the roadways, it's especially treacherous as well. We know that not just here in Texas, but in neighboring Oklahoma and in other southern states as far as Mississippi, there have been numerous accidents and injuries reported.